I'm Melissa Mancini with Canadian HR Reporter TV. I recently spoke to Bill Greenhalgh, CEO of the HRPA, about Bill 28 and its current status.
Professional associations in Ontario are regulated by provincial acts. There are about 40 altogether. And when anybody, even if it's a casual group of people getting together, if you're getting together with some friends to play, I don't know, a Wednesday night poker game, you've got to have some kind of rules and guidelines of how you operate. So with the professional associations, these rules and guidelines come from the legislature. So the government says, here are the rules, here's how you operate, because we deal with the public, so their concern is protection of the public.
Why is such a bill necessary in the HRPA's view?
I think the main reason is that the old one is out of date. That's really what it comes down to. It's that simple. We need to have guidelines of how professional associations work. All the professional associations have them. Those guidelines are written by the legislature. Where our bill is today that we're governed by, it's 25, 30 years out of date. And so it needs to be updated to reflect modern reality of how the workplace functions and many of the changes that have happened in the last 25 years. And I think anybody, not just people in HR, but I mean the world is totally different. The workplace is different. There's new legislation. The new bill has to reflect that.
What is its current status? It's
a private member's bill, and the Bill 138 was the number last year. And in fact, it went through, the normal process is it goes through 3 readings and then gets royal assent. There's a first reading, and the second is based upon a ballot, and the third one is based upon whenever committee's here and when it eventually finds a slot on the legislative program. So Bill 138, which went through last year, went through the first and second reading, but the third reading was scheduled, which would have passed, it was scheduled for the day that the Parliament was actually prorogued. It was a Thursday, and if the Parliament hadn't been prorogued a day early, if it hadn't been set down a day early, our bill would have gone through. So that was back in June, I think it was. So when the election was held, the legislature came back in December, one of the first things that happened was our bill got first reading again. Now, there are a couple of differences, some very, very minor differences between the wording, between the old one and the new one, but the new bill is called Bill 28, and that's essentially numbered, in terms of when it's actually received. So Bill 28 has essentially the same content as the previous one, a couple of minor typos adjusted, but the big difference between this one and the prior one is that the previous one, although it was supported by all the parties, had one member as the sponsor. This new one has sponsors from all 3 parties. So there's actually a sponsor from the NDP, from the Conservative government, and from the Liberal government are co-sponsoring it. So that makes a big difference in terms of how the process will evolve. Where we stand right now, the first reading was held back in December. The second reading, it was scheduled based on a ballot. So the private members draw a ballot. It was originally scheduled for sometime in mid-April, but it looks like that might be pulled forward because people have been exchanging ballots. Some members get a ballot date and they're not ready with the bill, so they change with someone who is. So it looks like ours will be read in sometime in the first part of March. That's the second reading. After that, we really don't know. We don't know how long it will take because the government then decides it'll be assigned to a certain committee. The committee holds hearings from people who have an interest in the content, and they make a decision of how it's going to happen. We're hoping it'll be read in as a third reading sometime this year, but we really don't know.
What has the reaction to the bill been like?
It's very much along the lines of the prior bill. When the prior bill was going through, we had every chapter, we talked through all the chapters. We had the chapters representing something like 85% of the membership. The chapter executives reviewed the bill with their members. They wrote in support of it. We had individual members writing in. And this one is actually probably even more. There's more support. We've had meetings with the chapter presidents. They're very supportive of they understand what it's all about. It is an updated bill. It has to be done because the other one's so out of date. So, as going forward, our recommendation to anybody who's interested is to make representation to their members of Parliament and to come to the committee meeting when it's held. If there are things about the bill they like or don't like, let the members know, the members of Parliament know. If there's things that they disagree with that's in the content of the bill, well, write and tell the members of Parliament. We have no say in what goes in there. It's written by the Legislative Assembly, and as I say, the wording is pretty much the same as all the other regulated associations, the other 35 or 39, I think it is in the province, exactly the same wording.